Confucius on Ethics, Cultivating Virtue and Social Harmony. In our exploration of Confucius's teachings, it's vital to recognize the timeless relevance of his insights into human behavior and societal norms. Confucius, or Kongzi as he was known in his native tongue, was not just a philosopher. He was a visionary who saw the potential for a harmonious society grounded in virtue and ethical conduct. Confucius lived during a time of moral decay and political turmoil, which is not unlike the challenges we face in our own times. His response to these challenges was to look inward, to the cultivation of personal virtue as the cornerstone of social harmony. In his view, a well-ordered society begins with well-ordered individuals, and this is where our examination begins. The core of Confucian ethics is the concept of ren, often translated as humaneness or benevolence. It is the quality that makes us distinctly human, the capacity for empathy, kindness, and compassion. Think of the last time you assisted someone in need or shared a moment of connection with another person. These instances reflect ren in action, the embodiment of our shared humanity. However, ren is not simply about isolated acts of kindness. For Confucius, it was about consistently living out these virtues in every aspect of life, a constant striving for moral excellence. It requires a level of self-reflection that many of us may find challenging. Consider the way we engage with those closest to us, our family, friends, and colleagues. Do our interactions promote harmony and respect? Are we contributing to the well-being of our community through our daily actions? This brings us to another fundamental virtue in Confucian ethics, li, or ritual propriety. Li encompasses the rituals and norms that guide social interactions, ensuring that respect and courtesy are maintained. It's more than mere etiquette. It's about understanding one's role in society and acting accordingly. By adhering to li, we create an environment where social interactions are predictable and respectful, reducing conflict and misunderstanding. Confucian ethics also emphasizes the role of why, righteousness or justice, in guiding our actions. Yai is the moral disposition to do good and to recognize what is right and wrong. It's the internal compass that directs us toward ethical behavior, even when it may not be the easiest or most beneficial path for ourselves. When you face a difficult decision, how do you determine the right course of action? Yi would suggest that the ethical choice, though perhaps not the most immediately rewarding, ultimately leads to the greatest good for oneself and society. The cultivation of self through these virtues is an ongoing process, and it begins with xu, the pursuit of knowledge and education. For Confucius, learning was not merely about the accumulation of facts, but the transformation of the individual. Through education, we learn not only about the world, but also about ourselves, and it's this self-knowledge that allows us to grow in virtue. Education also plays a key role in another aspect of Confucian ethics, the concept of yunzi, or the noble person. The yunzi is someone who embodies virtue in all aspects of life, serving as a role model for others to follow. It is a title earned through the demonstration of ren, li, and yi, and through a commitment to continual self-improvement and learning. We all have the potential to be a yunzi, but it requires a lifelong dedication to cultivating virtue. The pursuit of personal virtue is not an inward-looking endeavor for its own sake, but is directly connected to the welfare of society. Confucius believed that social harmony, was the natural result when individuals behaved ethically and fulfilled their roles with integrity. Imagine a society where each person acted with consideration for the well-being of others. What would that look like? How would it change the fabric of our daily interactions? The idea of when, or cultural refinement, also plays a central role in Confucian ethics. It's through engagement with the arts, literature, and music that we not only find joy and meaning in life, but also cultivate our emotional and moral sensibilities. When allows us to express and communicate our innermost feelings and virtues in a manner that transcends words, creating bonds between people, and fostering a shared cultural heritage that unites society. In cultivating virtue, one must also understand the importance of zhong, or loyalty, and shu, or reciprocity. Zhong implies a steadfast commitment to others, while shu suggests a principle akin to the golden rule. Do not impose on others what you would not desire for yourself. These principles guide us in forming relationships that are based on trust and mutual respect, which are essential for a harmonious society. Now, we must consider the role of leadership in Confucian ethics. Leaders, according to Confucius, should be paragons of virtue, leading by example. They must be wise, compassionate, and just, ensuring that their actions and policies are in the best interest of the people. How might our communities transform if those in positions of power adhered strictly to these ethical principles? When leaders embody the virtues they wish to see in their citizens, they create a culture where such virtues flourish. In the personal realm, Confucian ethics places great emphasis on the family as the nucleus of society. Filial piety, or jiao, is the virtue of respect for one's parents and ancestors. By fostering strong family bonds and instilling a sense of duty and reverence within the family unit, we lay the groundwork for a stable and cohesive society. This is not a one-way relationship, however. It requires the elders to be worthy of such respect by being virtuous and caring themselves. The concept of Ming, or fate destiny, also has a place in Confucian thought. While we are encouraged to strive for virtue and excellence, we must also recognize the limits of our control. Some aspects of life are beyond our influence, and in these, we must find acceptance and peace. How do we reconcile our efforts with the acceptance of Ming? It is a delicate balance between action and acceptance, between striving for improvement and recognizing the imperfections of life. Confucian ethics is as much about the cultivation of personal virtue as it is about the creation of a just and harmonious society. It is an invitation to each of us to reflect on our role in the broader tapestry of life and to consider how our actions and character contribute to the world we share. As we continue to explore the profound depth of Confucian ethics, it becomes clear that the principles outlined by Confucius are not static rules but living practices that can guide us in navigating the complexities of life. They call us to consider not only our own well-being but the well-being of others, and to strive for a balance that benefits the whole of society. In the next part of our exploration, we will delve deeper into the practical applications of these virtues in our daily lives and how we can integrate them to achieve personal growth and social harmony. The harmony of virtue, navigating life's path with Confucian wisdom. In this second part of our exploration into the ethical wisdom of Confucius, we turn our attention to the practical application of the virtues we've discussed. How do we embody these principles in our daily lives to not only enrich our own existence but also to enhance the fabric of society as a whole? Life presents us with an intricate array of choices, each a thread in the larger web of our existence. The Confucian path of virtue is not one of passive reception but active engagement. We are architects of our destiny, shaping our moral character through the decisions we make every day. Take, for instance, the seemingly simple act of greeting a neighbor. In this interaction, Lai guides us to engage with respect and kindness, but look deeper and you will find Ren at work, as our genuine concern for their well-being informs our words and actions. Yi ensures that our interaction is just and proper, respecting the other's dignity. Each virtue interweaves with the others, creating a tapestry of ethical living. But how does one discern the right course of action when faced with moral dilemmas? It is here that Ji, or wisdom, becomes our compass. Wisdom isn't merely intellectual, it is the profound understanding that comes from a life lived in pursuit of virtue. It allows us to see beyond the immediate to the potential long-term effects of our actions. Wisdom guides us to make decisions that align with the greater good and the well-being of others. In cultivating wisdom, we must also cultivate exin, or trustworthiness. In a world brimming with uncertainty, being a person of your word is a beacon of stability. Trustworthiness isn't just about honesty, it's about consistency of character, the reliability of your actions, and the predictability of your ethical stance. When you say you will do something, do you follow through? Are your actions reflective of your moral declarations? Trustworthiness fortifies the bridge between thought and action, ensuring that our ethical principles are not merely theoretical, but lived realities. Now, let us consider the virtue of hui, or reflection. Reflection is the mirror in which we examine our actions and their alignment with our ethical framework. It is through reflection that we gain self-awareness and insight into our strengths and areas for improvement. Have you ever acted in a way that, upon reflection, seemed out of alignment with your principles? What did you learn from this, and how did you alter your path forward? This process of continuous reflection is key to becoming a yunzi. We must be vigilant in our self-examination, willing to correct our course when we stray from the path of virtue. It is not a journey of ease, but one of perseverance and courage. Confucius recognized that our ethical journey does not occur in isolation. Ren is realized in relationships, and it is through our connections with others that we find the greatest opportunities for ethical growth. In the family, we learn the basics of care and concern, which we then extend to our friends, our community, and ultimately to all of humanity. How do you nurture your relationships to be a source of ethical growth for both yourself and others? The Confucian vision of an ethical society is one where each person plays their part in maintaining the social order. From the ruler to the common citizen, each has a role to play. In your own sphere of influence, how do you contribute to the maintenance of harmony and order? Do you lead by example, encouraging others to act virtuously through your own behavior? Engagement with society is not without its challenges. Confucius did not shy away from acknowledging the difficulties we face in our ethical pursuits. We will encounter injustice, hardship, and moral ambiguity. It is in these moments that our commitment to yi is tested. Do we stand firm in our convictions, or do we waver when the path becomes arduous? The cultivation of virtue also requires an understanding of wen, the cultural arts, as a means of expressing and reinforcing ethical principles. Through poetry, music, and art, we find expressions of ren and lai that resonate with our emotional experience. These cultural forms not only bring beauty into our lives, but also serve as reminders of the virtues we aspire to embody. How often do you engage with the arts as a source of ethical inspiration and contemplation? The Confucian ideal also places emphasis on the concept of gong, or public spiritedness. A yunzi is not only concerned with personal virtue but also with the welfare of society. Gong encourages us to look beyond our immediate concerns to the needs of the wider community. In what ways do you contribute to the common good? Do your actions reflect a concern for the broader well-being, or are they narrowly focused on personal gain? The ethical life, according to Confucian thought, is not a static achievement but a dynamic process of growth and refinement. It requires diligence, humility, and a willingness to continually learn from our experiences and those of others. By embracing the harmony of virtue in all aspects of life, we weave an ethical fabric that not only covers our own being but also extends to the society we are part of. As we move forward on this path, each step taken with intention and understanding, we contribute to the creation of a world that reflects the highest ideals of human character. The journey is long and the terrain sometimes rugged, but the destination, a society founded upon the pillars of Confucian virtue, is a beacon worth striving for. The Epic of Ethical Elevation, unveiling the tapestry of transcendent morality. In this unfolding narrative of our journey through the realms of Confucian thought, we delve deeper into the essence of ethical elevation. As we traverse this path, we recognize that the cultivation of virtue is not merely an individual endeavor, but a collective expedition towards societal transcendence. The Confucian concept of the Da Tong, or the Great Unity, is where our exploration now takes us. In this envisioned world, society operates harmoniously under the highest moral standards. The Great Unity is not a utopia detached from reality, but an achievable state of collective morality to which we are all contributors. How do we, as individuals and as a society, work towards this grand vision? Consider the role of Shu, the principle of reciprocity. This is the ethical symmetry in human interactions, encapsulating the maxim: do not impose on others what you do not wish for yourself. The Golden Rule, as it is known in many cultures, becomes the cornerstone of social interaction. Reflect on your everyday actions. Are they guided by this principle of mutual respect and empathy? In the pursuit of the Great Unity, it is essential to recognize the interconnectedness of our actions. Just as a stone cast into a pond creates ripples that extend far beyond its initial impact, so too do our ethical choices send waves through the fabric of society. The cultivation of Jian-ai, or the principle of inclusive care, challenges us to expand our circle of concern beyond our immediate connections to include all within the human family. How can your actions today reflect a more inclusive concern for others? Education plays a pivotal role in the journey toward the Great Unity. Confucius placed great emphasis on zhuwei, the pursuit of learning, as a lifelong commitment to personal and moral development. Education is not merely the acquisition of knowledge, but the refining of one's character. It is through education that individuals come to understand their place in the social order and their responsibilities to others. How do you engage in continuous learning, and how does this learning inform your ethical growth? Leadership, too, must be re-envisioned in light of Confucian virtues. The Yunzi, as a moral exemplar, leads not through coercion but through moral persuasion and by personal example. Leaders at all levels must embody di, or virtue, to inspire and elevate those around them. In your own spheres of influence, how do you lead? Do you lead in a way that promotes the common good and fosters an environment where ethical virtues can flourish? In this grand tapestry of morality, each individual's transformation contributes to the societal metamorphosis. The Confucian ideal encourages us to view our personal development as inextricably linked to the progress of our communities. Feng Xiang, the fragrance of virtue, should emanate from our actions, subtly influencing others and inviting them to embark on their own journeys of ethical elevation. As we progress on this path, we must also confront the inevitable adversities that test our resolve. Confucius acknowledged the reality of suffering and the complexity of human emotions. Yet, he urged us to respond to life's challenges with equanimity and resilience, using them as opportunities for further growth. How do you face adversity? Does it become a catalyst for your ethical development, or does it hinder your progress? The journey toward the great unity is not solitary, but shared. As we walk this path, we find companionship in community, solidarity in shared values, and strength in collective aspirations. The Confucian vision calls us not only to act, but also to reflect, not only to lead, but also to serve, not only to learn, but also to teach. By embodying these virtues, we weave our individual threads into the grand tapestry of transcendent morality. The epic of ethical elevation is upon us, and it beckons us to rise to the occasion. Each action we take, each decision we make, is a stitch in this ever-expanding work of art. Let us then proceed with diligence and hope, knowing that the fabric we create will clothe future generations in the warmth of a more virtuous, more unified world. The Luminous Summit. Ascending the pinnacle of principled perfection. As we ascend to the concluding heights of our philosophical expedition, we find ourselves at the cusp of a profound realization. The journey towards ethical excellence is both an individual quest and a collective ascent to the luminous summit of principled perfection. At this zenith, where the air of moral clarity is crisp and the panorama of potential stretches endlessly, we pause to contemplate the essence of the Confucian doctrine. This doctrine is not a relic of the past, but a beacon illuminating the path forward. It is a living philosophy, adaptive and enduring, guiding us in navigating the complexities of contemporary life. The tapestry of society, woven with threads of individual virtue, now reveals its grand design. The harmonious patterns of conduct, have been established not through rigid adherence to tradition, but through a fluid understanding of its underlying spirit. As we stand on the shoulders of the ancient sages, we gaze into a future where Lees adapts to the ever-changing context of our times while retaining its core ethical values. How will you contribute to the evolution of these social patterns to ensure they remain relevant and resonant? In this era of global connectivity, the Confucian virtues of Ren and Yi find new expressions in our interactions. The digital landscape becomes a fertile ground for Ren to blossom as we extend our benevolence across virtual spaces, transcending physical boundaries. Yi guides us in navigating the ethical quandaries of this interconnected world, urging us to uphold justice and righteousness even when anonymity and distance make it challenging. How do you manifest these virtues in your digital interactions, and how do they shape your virtual footprint? The great unity, that aspirational vision of a world suffused with virtue, now seems within reach. It is a world not free from conflict or suffering, but one where our collective moral compass steers us towards reconciliation and growth. In this world, the Yunzi is not an elusive ideal but a common aspiration, as individuals from all walks of life strive to embody the grace of moral character. In what ways will you strive to realize the attributes of the Yunzi in your own life, inspiring others to do the same? Education, the bedrock of character formation, has been transformed. It is no longer confined within the walls of institutions, but is a continuous, life-enriching process that occurs in every interaction and experience. The pursuit of Zhu now involves a global exchange of wisdom, where diverse perspectives enrich our understanding. How will you engage in this global dialogue of education, contributing to and drawing from its collective wisdom? Leadership, too, has been redefined. It is now an act of service where one leads by elevating others, fostering environments where virtues can be cultivated and flourish. Ethical leadership becomes the norm, not the exception, as communities and organizations prioritize integrity and virtue in their structures and systems. How will you exercise leadership in a way that promotes ethical elevation within your community? As we look to the horizon from this luminous summit, we recognize that the path of virtue is endless, its ascent perpetual. The summit itself is not a final destination, but a vantage point from which to view the greater peaks yet to be scaled. The Confucian journey does not conclude but continually unfolds, inviting each successive generation to climb higher, inspired by the wisdom of the past and invigorated by the possibilities of the future. Let us depart from this summit with a renewed commitment to ethical excellence, carrying the lessons of Confucius in our hearts. As we descend back into the valleys of everyday existence, we carry the light of principled perfection, ready to illuminate the darkest corners of our world. Each step we take is a testament to our dedication to the path of virtue, each act of kindness, a beacon of hope in a world yearning for moral guidance. In the epic of ethical elevation, we have seen the tapestry of transcendent morality unfurl before us. Now, at the luminous summit, we not only gaze upon the beauty of what has been woven, but also dream of the patterns yet to come. Our hands are ready, our spirits willing, and our hearts open to the task of continuing this timeless weave. Let this be our collective legacy, a civilization that reached for the pinnacle of principled perfection, a civilization that recognized the interdependence of all its members, and a civilization that, in striving for the great unity, achieved the greatest unity within itself, harmonizing the myriad threads of individual lives into a masterpiece of communal existence. The summit beckons, the journey calls. Let us step forward together, with wisdom as our guide and virtue as our companion, into the dawning era of ethical transcendence,